All right, guys, this is your quiz 6 review. We are starting with our first problem, 5w minus 7 times 3w squared plus 8w minus 4. And we have to distribute here that 5w times 3w squared. This gives us 15w cubed. And now 5w times 8w gives us 40w squared. And 5w times minus 4 gives us negative 20w. Now we'll take the minus 7 and distribute. So minus 7 times 3w squared, that gives us negative 21w squared. Negative 7 times 8, that gives us minus 56w. And negative 7 times negative 4 is positive 28. From there, we want to combine like terms. So we only have one term with w cubed, so we copy that down. And we're done with that one. 40w squared minus 21w squared gives us 19w squared. And then negative 20w minus the 56w, that gives us negative 76w plus 28. This will be our answer. For example, letter B, you're multiplying and we got to distribute again. X times X gives us X squared. X times 8 gives us positive 8X. Negative 8 times X, we get negative 8X, and then negative 8 times positive 8 is negative 64. These two 8X terms cancels, leaving X squared minus 64 as our answer. For the third one, we see 2x plus 6 squared. So we expanded the polynomial here and we want to distribute. So 2x times 2x gives us 4x squared. 2x times the 6, that gives us 12x. And now the inner terms, 6 times 2x, that gives us another 12x. And then lastly, we have 6 times 6, that gives us 36. We want to combine like terms, which would be these two terms in the middle to get 4x. So we have 4x squared plus 24x, right? 12x plus 12x plus 36. That's our answer. Questions. And number 2, we have negative 4a cubed plus 16a to the 8th. And this time we got to factor out the greatest common factor, the GCF. The GCF between negative 4 and 16, we factored out negative 4. And for the a terms, a cubed and a to the 8th, we can factor a cubed. So when we factor negative 4a cubed from the first term, we just get 1. And negative 4a cubed, when we factor that from the second term, we get negative 4 and 5 more a terms to make a to the 8th. So a to the 5th power. This is our answer. For the next example, we're factoring as well. So between 8 and 28, we're able to factor 4. X and x cubed, we're able to factor x. And then the y's, we have y to the 6th and y to the 7th, we're able to factor out 6. And then the u cubed. So our GCF is 4x y to the 6th power times u cubed that we factor. From the first term, when we factor, remember factoring, that's the same thing as us dividing all of these terms by the GCF. So 4y to the 6th power u cubed. And 8 goes into, well, 4 goes into 8 2 times. The x's cancel. The u cubed cancels. And then 6 of the y's cancel, leaving just that one y. All right, so 4 into 8 gives us 2, and then we have 1 y left over in parentheses. When we factor that GCF from 28x cubed y to the 6th power 28, divided by 4, that gives us 7. And then the x to the third power and the x to the first power that we were factoring, that leaves us with x squared. And then the y to the sixth power cancels out. The u to the third power cancels out. This will be our answer. And then here we want to factor by grouping. We have 16y to the third power minus 60y to the second power minus 44y. Remember, the first step is that you create two groups. So you're going to place the first two terms in parentheses and the last two terms in parentheses, and then find the GCF. So our greatest common factor for that first group is 4y squared. And when we factor 4y squared from 16y cubed, we get 4y. When we factor 4y squared from the minus 60y to the second power, we get minus 15. Now our second group, we factored out 11. Factoring 11 from 44y leaves 4y. And 11 from the minus 165 leaves 15. So see, we have the same terms in the group. So we know we factored correctly, and that's going to be part of our solution. So the factor 4y minus 15 is a part of our solution. And then we combine the two terms that are in front of the parentheses to create the second part of our solution. So 4y squared minus 11. This is our answer. So we created two groups again for the next problem. And then we factor our GCF from that first group is x. Factoring x from 6x squared leaves 6x in parentheses. And when we factor x from the 7xy, that leaves 7y. That second group, we're able to factor 4 from 24x, that leaves 6x. And when we factor 4 from the minus 28y, we get positive 7y. Since we factored out that minus sign out here in front. But again, if you check your work here, you see 6x plus 7, the same factor for both. That's going to be part of our solution. And then we combine x minus 4 to get the second part of our solution. And now the last one, we want to factor, but remember that first step, if your leading coefficient is not 1, you have to multiply the first and the last term together. So 12 times 2, that gives us 24. And then we have to find two numbers where when we multiply them, we get 24, but when we add them, we get this middle number 11. Those two factors are 8 and 3. So 8 times 3, that gives us 24. And if we add 8 plus 3, that checks out to give us 11 in the middle. What you do is rewrite that expression, and you're going to remove the 11x and substitute these two factors. So see, we substituted 8x plus 3x. Now we want to create our two groups. So the first two terms and the last two terms. Between 12x squared plus 8x, we can factor out 4x. 4 goes into 12 3 times, so we put 3 in parentheses, and then that 1x is divided into x squared. That leaves 1x in parentheses. And now the 8x, when we factor 4x from 8x, 8 divided by 4 gives us 2. All right, so we place that in parentheses. Now notice the next group, we have 3x plus 2. We can't factor anything other than 1 from that expression. So we factored out 1, and that leaves 3x plus 2. But we also notice the matching factors, so that's going to be part of our solution. And the second one we'll get from the numbers in front of the parentheses, 4x plus 1. All right, that's your review for quiz 6.